Hello, my gorgeous, gorgeous friend, and welcome to the Dare to Rest podcast. The first question I want to ask you today is, what have you done to make today fun? What have you done to make today fun? The second question I want to ask you is, are you following the Dare to Rest podcast? If you're not, and if you're tuning in all the time, I would be so happy if you'd want to go and follow the podcast. You have no idea how much that actually means to me, to the ability to spread the podcast to the world. So if you want to support that way, I would highly appreciate it. Today, we're going to talk about something a little bit different than we usually talk about in this podcast, but it's all going to make so much sense. So, you'll already know that the name of this episode is Don't Give Them a Fish. And you might be thinking, what is that crazy woman up to now? And I am going to make it all be perfectly clear to you. What I want to share today is a leadership principle that just changes everything. It changes how you lead yourself, how you lead others, how you build relationships that actually feel good to be in, all the things. As we talk about leadership, I feel I really need to emphasize something here. So, leadership has nothing, and a big fat line under nothing, to do with the title of your profession. We are all leaders of something if we choose to. It has nothing to do with your title. You might also be a leader of a title, but anyone can be a leader. So with that completely clear, let's dive in. This principle that I'm sharing today is so simple that I just know that you are going to remember it. Because the only thing you need to remember is don't give them a fish. Don't give them a fish. You've probably heard this quote before, and if you haven't, well, here it comes. If you give a man a fish, you feed him for the day. If you teach a man to fish, you feed him for a lifetime. And just because we also have to remember that there are women in this world, we're going to say it again. Give a woman a fish, and you feed her for a day. Teach a woman to fish, and you feed her for a lifetime. I love the symbolism of these two simple sentences because to me, they are representative of the evolved leadership that we are all being called forward to embody. I'm just going to say those sentences again, and I want you to really feel the meaning behind the words. Give a man/woman a fish, and you feed him/her for a day. Teach a man/woman to fish, and you feed him/her for a lifetime. This is the change. This is the difference between management and leadership. And again, I want to stress here that this also applies outside the professional offices. Management says, I'll tell you what to do, and you do it. Leadership says, I show you how to think, how to move, and how to find your own way. And that shift changes everything. It changes the dynamic, it changes how we relate, it removes the hierarchical structures that we have built and have lived with for so long. When you tell, you create dependency. When you show, when you model, you inspire self-leadership in others. So it's time for more show, don't tell. And that level of leadership, that approach to leadership, is where everything becomes so empowering, because it makes sure that you know how to fish, not just how to eat a fish. And this, I believe, is really the kind of leadership that we are being called into now. No hierarchy, no control, no I know better than you, but from that place of embodiment. You know something, you will share that. The person who receives it will take whatever feels aligned for them, they will adapt, they will fine tune, they will make it their own. With this type of leadership, your life becomes the teaching. Your standards and how you lead yourself becomes an invitation. And your way of being becomes a permission slip for other people. Where your way of doing it or being it gets to be the platform that others expand upon. They're not going to follow your exact recipe. They're not going to follow your exact orders. They're going to use your experience, your input to refine their own. And then both parties are left in this empowered state, sovereign and in self-leadership. And I really pride myself of saying that this is how I lead inside my spaces. I don't give clients a formula to copy. I have no desire in that. Most of what I do is I show them how I lead myself, how I move through life, through challenges, through expansion. I share what I walk through so that they can take what resonates and make it their own. And surely we talk about different approaches and sometimes we remove stumbling blocks, but I never tell anyone to do things my way, because my way is not your way and your way is not mine. If I gave you my quote unquote fish, you would always need me to give you another fish. But when I teach you how to fish, how to trust yourself, how to move on your own authority, how to become powerful in your own right, you become the most magnetic, amazing self leader in your life. And if you then decide to stay with me, close to me in my world, it's not because you need me, but because you want to have a place where you continually stay inspired. And this is so important because it takes us from that mindset of fixing things, the immediate things, and then whew, then we can go do another thing. It also takes us out of that idea that someone else is required for us to feel better. Because when we do that, we are out of our power, we are out of our sovereignty. And though, of course, we can help and support each other, We all appreciate to have that feeling in our body of, I can do this. I know how to do this. I don't need anyone, but I can choose to have someone to support me, not from need, but from pure desire. And that's a completely different frequency. And though this example that I just took you through was about coaching, because apparently and clearly that's what's alive and real in my world, this principle goes far beyond coaching. This goes into parenting, into partnership, into friendships, into being a leader of a professional something, maybe a leader of a team. This is everything. In whatever capacity you lead others, the most precious gift that you can give them is to empower them in how to lead themselves. Not telling them what to do, but being a guide so they can find their own way. You know how I love examples because that always makes things land for me. So I always like to give you that. So let's take an example from parenthood because, well, we've all had parents, or at least most of us have had parents that we know. So when you grew up, how did your parents treat themselves? Were they always stressed or worried or burned out? Did they struggle dealing with emotions? Were they disconnected? Did you have parents who were always hard on themselves? And how did they treat their body? Because what they did, how they operated, that is what you learned. Not the words they may have been saying, but the embodiment, who they were being, what they were doing. And if you are a parent today, or honestly just a human in any relationship, you get to ask yourself, what are you modeling with your behavior? Because words is one thing, and words are super powerful. Let's not go into that here today. But you can say all the right things. You can tell your children that it's important to take care of yourself, that it's necessary to have healthy routines around sleep to get sufficient and good sleep. You can tell your children to not worry. You can tell your children that they have the whole world at their feet and they can do anything. But if you're not showing them how to embody all of that, it's a very, very small part of what they learn from you. People will always learn more from how you live compared to your words. So, this is the elevated leadership. This is the embodiment. Because in this world where knowledge is so readily available to all of us, where we have so much information, what makes the change is living it, breathing it, modeling a new behavior, and choosing it again and again and again and again. If you've tuned into the previous episodes on this podcast, you will see that there is a resemblance between what I'm saying here and the Get Your Ass in the Arena episode. My clients are not dependent on me. They lead themselves, but they choose to be in my world because I have embodied something that they are curious about. Or maybe they want a cheerleader, a guide, a mentor, a coach. But no matter how they come into my world, we are equal power. And what I do is that I share my keys, my codes, my insights so that the people who join the Dare to Rest world can refine them, make them their own. Because information is so readily available. But how we lead ourselves, how we actually turn it into our lived experience, that's next level leadership. So, in the way I operate inside my business, I show my clients how to hold boundaries without guilt. When I also uphold my boundaries for them, or when I tell them the stories about how I I navigate boundaries. I show my clients how to navigate life when things don't go as planned, as I hoped for. I show my clients how I continually raise standards in relationships, not by talking about just raising standards, but the actual lived experience and who I have to become, and the capacity I have to grow to hold those standards. And there's so many other things I show by being me, how I've let go of proving and hustling, how I'm priming my body for success and love and joy, how I'm allowing more pleasure and satisfaction into my life, how I'm creating more of the things I desire, and how I communicate effectively. But I don't just tell them, I live it in front of them because that's the work. That's what you do when you are a parent, when you are the leader of a team. It's what you do when you show your friends how to be in relationship with you. That's all you leading in all those different scenarios. And just to give another example here, to take it out of the coaching world and into the world that most people can relate to, the same things applies if you, for instance, lead a team. Your job won't be to have all the answers. Your job is to set standards, to model the energy, to clarify the direction, and to communicate clear expectations for the team and the individuals in the team. And then, as you do that and continue to do that, you let people rise. You let them think, you let them refine, you let them find better ways. Leadership is not about being needed. It's not about having all the answers. It's about creating people who don't need you to function. But these people, they choose to be in your world, whether that's you in a team, you in parenthood, you in relationships, you in friendships. People choose to be in your world because it feels good and fun and expansive to be in your energy. That's the leadership. So you're not really leading anyone but you. And in doing that, you're modeling what it's like and what it can be like. And this whole modeling approach is so important in this show, don't tell approach. And the most beautiful part of leading ourselves in this way is the impact that it has on our relationships. Because all relationships become increasingly better when there's no hierarchy, when there's no competition, no heaviness, just based on all these matriarchal values, where we are all more equal, more creative, more self-owned, more alive. We don't have to take responsibility for other people around us all the time because they are able to lead themselves. And sometimes leading yourself means that you actually go ask for help, saying, I don't know how to do this. Help me. And sometimes leadership is, I fucking know how to make this better. I'm gonna go. But either way, it's a shoulder to shoulder relationship. And any relationship in your life will thrive when this is the approach. There's no power over, no power under, it's power with. And honestly, that is always my intention. That's the standard I love to model, and I keep refining it continually through my own experience and also through being around other women and men who inspire me to do this, to become better at modeling this. What I want more than anything is that people leave into actions with me feeling more themselves, more trusting, more at peace, more powerful, more joyful, more confident that they are epic. This doesn't mean that if you're in my world that I won't remind you of your power if you forget it or if you drop it momentarily, because I will. But I will never hold your power for you because then it wouldn't be yours. It would be dependent on me, and that's not empowerment. So this really is that new level of leadership that empowers all of us to have healthier relationships with ourselves, with others. And it's a different way of being in life, but it's so much more expansive. It puts you at the center, you as the creator. So the reminder I want to wrap up here at the end is don't give them the fish. Model your standards, live what you stand for, and let people rise to meet you. And then also surround yourself with people who do the same because it's so inspiring. Surround yourself with people who don't rush in to fix you, who don't give you unsolicited advice, who don't tell you what to do because this is what worked for them. Surround yourself with people who inspire you to find the wisdom you have in yourself, who show you how to access your own wisdom, because that's where the real power lives. Don't give them the fish. Teach them how to fish. The reflection I really want you to take from this episode today is, and I want you to sit with this. I want you to get your journal out and ask yourself these questions. And if you don't journal, take a piece of paper, use the notes app on your phone. I don't care, but write this down. Ask yourself, where in your life are you over giving answers instead of creating space for others to rise? Where are you rushing in to fix instead of empowering people to solve the problems, the issue themselves? And the third thing to reflect on is, what are you actually modeling? Not through the words that you speak, but in the way that you lived. If this resonated, I hope it did. I know it did. But if this resonated and you feel someone in your life could benefit from hearing this as well, please, please share this with them. Someone who's done with hierarchy, control, over responsibility, and ready for something more honest, more equal, more powerful. Everything really that Dare to Rest stands for. Share this with them. They will be so pleased. Thank you for being here. I love you, and I can't wait to see you on the next episode.